Hello, good day to everyone. Our episode today would focus on education, specifically on inquiry-based learning and teaching, and how it could be utilized and experienced online. This presentation is inspired by Dr. Kimberly Mitchell from her 2019 book, Experience Inquiry in Online Learning. I am Evelyn Bumatay, the Chief Learning Officer of EMB Training and Consultancy Services. I was Country Director of the Association of Christian Schools International Philippines and High School Principal of Jubilee Christian Academy in the National Capital Region. In the last academic year, I acted as mentor for Teach for the Philippines. Welcome to Making Every Lesson Count Learning Series. We shall intend to answer the following questions. How different is inquiry-based approach from traditional pedagogy? How can inquiry-based learning be facilitated online? How can I, as a teacher, evoke curiosity among my students in online classes? And am I an inquiry teacher? See, for many students, the traditional classroom approach leaves them bored and unengaged. As a result, they aren't effectively learning or understanding the material being taught. The key to success for students is making sure they are engaged with any material they are learning. Now that leaders and school heads are considering replacing current programs with virtual teaching and learning, there is a need to understand that simply converting existing materials is not effective or efficient. Schools have never faced a crisis like this one. We cannot simply convert, but must instead transform the classroom for effective virtual distribution. Traditional transmission models of teaching are past their use-by date. The young people with whom we work deserve nothing less than teachers who see them as capable and curious inquirers, and who would instill in them a joyful hunger to question, investigate, and make meaning throughout their lives, pandemic or not. That's where inquiry-based learning comes in, even in online learning, a learning and teaching method that prioritizes student questions, ideas, and analysis. What does it mean to inquire? It means to seek, to obtain and make meaning from answers to one's questions, to utilize curiosity and intuition. Inquiry is a way of teaching or a pedagogical approach that gets the students to do most of the question asking and answer seeking. It emphasizes the student's role in the learning process. Rather than the teacher telling students what they need to know from a curriculum guide or a standard textbook, students are encouraged to explore the material, investigate, and ask questions and share ideas. Instead of memorizing the facts and material, the students learn by doing. This allows them to build knowledge through exploration, experience, and discussion. The basis of this method is to channel the thought process of the students through queries and help them in how to think instead of what to think. Knowledge is readily available at few clicks now, and memorizing facts and figures is actually not necessary anymore to function successfully in everyday life. In a fast-changing world, facts and information change frequently. Therefore, what is most needed is to develop that skill of arriving at a fact. The inquisitive minds of the students should be channeled in such a way that problems would encourage them to reach for the solution by themselves. Unlike traditional learning, where the information is simply provided to the students, inquiry-based learning nurtures the critical and analytical minds of the students. From a student point of view, inquiry-based learning focuses on investigating an open question or a problem. They could raise questions like, what could be next? What if? Or how? They must use evidence-based reasoning and creative problem-solving to reach a conclusion which they must defend or present. From a teacher point of view, inquiry-based teaching focuses on moving the students beyond general curiosity into the realms of critical thinking and understanding. The teacher must encourage the students to ask questions and support them through the investigation process, understanding when to begin and how to structure an inquiry activity. The role of the teacher in an inquiry-based setting is quite different from that of a teacher in a conventional setting. You need to help the students generate their own content-related questions and guide the investigation that follows. They need to commit to provide rich experiences that provoke students' curiosity and thinking, to plan carefully constructed questioning sequences, to manage multiple student investigations at the same time, to assess continually the progress of each student as they work toward their solution or their final product, and to respond in the moment to the students' emerging queries and discoveries. That means that the teacher needs to design and create possibly a question bank, guide experiences, and come up with an environment that promotes student discussions, collaboration, and of course critical thinking, which we emphasize often, where the role of the teacher needs to flow between being an expert and the lead learner and facilitator of research. Educators used to worry about covering the material, but now need to plan to evolve. Educators used to worry about covering the material, but now you need to plan very, very carefully and very, very meticulously to evoke the students' curiosity. Curiosity being the centerpiece of inquiry. You used to focus on assigning and assessing finished products, but now we need to teach thinking through problem solving, researching, corroborating, analyzing, and criticizing presentations. And mind you, all these can still be done online. See, we retain 75% of what we do compared to 5% of what we hear and 10% of what we read. Inquiry-based learning allows students to better understand and recall material by engaging actively with it and making their own connections. Here is an approach scenario. We were born doing science by randomly touching objects, placing them in our mouths. We learned as toddlers what is hot or cold, sweet or sour, sharp or dull, rough or smooth. We learned almost everything through inquiry. You have children, if you are parents, who keep on bothering you with the work while you're working online, and they keep on asking questions. What it is, their whys are never ending. When we were young also, we watched toys sink or float in the bathtub, and it was a chance to investigate the principle of buoyancy. Outdoors, by playing catch, we made discoveries about gravity and trajectories. By building towers out of blocks, we explored principles of size, scale, and center of mass. But that's when we were kids. when we were young. Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, we lose our natural curiosity about the world. It seems to happen when we are faced with, unfortunately, our first science class. So what happened? Science became a list of facts and formulas to memorize. Our natural instincts to do inquiry are suppressed. Therefore, that's what we need to resurrect, to evoke the curiosity among our students. And now that we are doing things online, then it will still be very easy for us to do that. Now that we are exposed to e-learning and schooling online, what should be done? The teachers who are using the inquiry-based method should frame a question as a central part of their curriculum. We are now ready to facilitate inquiry-based learning, or IBL, online. Let us now delve into the details of this inquiry approach. There are basic steps to inquiry-based learning. First is to ask. Out of curiosity, we ask. It can come from the teacher or the students themselves. The teacher could present a problem for the students to solve, or a question for the students to answer, or just the unit that they are going to study for the day or the week. We have to come up with a very rich question that does not already have the answer in it. So, for example, if our topic is on money, questions could be like, why do we need money? Or why is it important to save money? Why is it important to spend wisely? These can be initial questions from the teacher, or if you tell the students that our topic would be on money, then they try to raise different questions about money. Then maybe there would be some who would ask, why are some people rich and others are not? Do we need to spend wisely? Why is it important? Or what form of exchange evolved over time? Our ancestors, our forefathers, how did they spend? Do people budget? We always begin with questions that we want to explore in a particular unit or the particular specific content that we're going to study for the day or week. So that means that these questions would be the answers rather to these questions can be done by brainstorming, or even the questions themselves could be brainstormed. The students would be asked to deep dive and prove the problem or try to answer, give a solution to the question. We can use the flipped classroom style where the teacher would assign students to read certain items beforehand or watch a video in their own time, and then using the online meeting itself to conduct that question storming session. So, or you can draw graphs, geometrical figures, or pictures on the whiteboard, and questions, the teacher's questions can be related to the image, or the student's questions could emanate from the interpretation of the images or whatever is presented. The second one would be to investigate. The students will be allowed to use appropriate web browsers, different applications, even virtual libraries, to explore content to look for answers to their questions. So we have already a list of questions that were elicited from the students, and maybe with the teacher's help, they were able to come up with their own cache of questions. Like what I mentioned earlier, that it is best to plan the lesson very well and have your own question bank or your own set of questions, possible questions, and then we be surprised at what others and how the curiosity of the students will be really be piqued that. Then next one would be to create. They now, after investigating and even asking their classmates for real-time editing and collaboration, then they can exchange their comments with each other, either excuse me, through an app like Padlet or creating mind maps through Kaggle. Then they would be allowed to carry out those investigations. And once they have investigated, they would be creating reports, answers, or apply to problems to showcase the conclusion that they would be arriving at. Then there could be a specific session for that. They share their results. Then once the presentation of proofs is over, then the teachers may hold that discussion meeting. Very important, because it is when the students will really be sharing their reflections and learnings throughout the entire journey, or how they really came up with the solution or with the project if they wanted to create out of the question and investigation they have conducted. They provide oral feedback, and they learn also from one another how one could use the information in their real lives and how it would benefit them. Then we go to improving it. We can work backward from the solution, then explain why the results are correct, and then tie that to previous knowledge. Here, in summary, is what the inquiry approach is all about. That way, we give the learners the opportunity to reflect, review, and remember the key takeaways of the lesson. Now, remember that inquiry learning is best nurtured by teachers who talk less and ask more, who also stay curious themselves, and maybe could ask questions like, here is a question I still have, or we can still explore. Or the teacher could say, I'm not sure about that. What do the rest of you think? The teacher can also get personal. Okay, can you share your thoughts with your partner if ever the app that the teacher is using has breakout rooms? Oh, okay, share what your experience is with this, about money, about budgeting, for example, if that is the topic that you're talking about. Then you also encourage evidence by asking questions like, how do you know that? Where did you find that information? How do you know that that information is accurate? And we can also extend thinking time, like before we proceed to the next topic or to the next question, let us try to stretch this for the meantime. Let us think about this. Are you an inquiry teacher? There is a self-survey that Dr. Mitchell has shared, which is reproducible, and I am providing you the link to that self-survey. And it would be interesting to know if you are an inquiry teacher, meaning if you ask more and talk less and have all of those 5 key strategies and key traits, actually, that you need to have or possess as an inquiry teacher. Inquiry-based learning is simply about curiosity, but life trains adults to hide their childlike need to know things, that the older they get, the older we get, the more curiosity is misinterpreted at times as ignorance and inexperience. However, that questioning spirit still exists in us, even if it's silent and suppressed. So we need to reactivate it, especially if we are teachers taking care of the minds of our students. Remember, we develop critical and analytical minds by questioning, because we as humans always ask, and that's how we learn. So we can't suppress that. We can't stop ourselves from becoming curious. As long as it is used to benefit our students in our online classes, we build our online sessions around questions, creating a cache of questions as we prepare very, very meticulously on our lessons. And what's more important is that this inquiry-based learning is designed to teach the students a love, a passion for learning. When students are able to engage with the material in their own way, not only are they able to gain a deeper understanding, they are able to develop a passion for exploration and leading to lifelong learning. Thank you very much, and more blessings to everyone for the new academic year. Please stay safe and healthy and continue to be protected by the Lord at all times. Have a wonderful week and goodbye.